Friday again. Man, how often does this happen? Pretty darn frequently, as far as I can tell. Oh, that's a little out of frame. Let me raise that up just a hair. Yeah, close enough. Hey, well, good afternoon, everybody. It is Friday, Pi Day Friday, as some of us call it, and drama, as we all know regularly. Dave Rush, Ask Me Anything. I am the erstwhile and aforementioned Dave Rush. Tolowitz says, I am live. Thank you very much. Somebody double check my audio too, if you'd be so kind. I was tested in advance internally. If I can hear it, then it's good. But anyway, here we are again. It seems like only 2 days since I last saw you, or since you last saw me. I apologies for that. Is that the right way to say that? Mike had surgery on his knee on Monday, and he was painless on Monday because I think he was well anesthetized, and they gave him lovely leave me alone pills. And he did, oh my gosh, what an awesome show. If you missed Mike's show on Monday and you are job hunting, go back and watch it on the archive. Okay, we brought in Stephanie DeLong, who is an HR guru. Now, we've had HR people in the past, but this was special. She is such a consummate professional. Not her focus. One of her areas of expertise is working with people who have little or no experience in a particular field, like tech or IT, and helping guide them to make effective resumes that sell their points, that make them saleable, and likewise interviews and interview techniques and how to take control of the interview. And it was, we were so knocked out that first of all, we ran long, 20 minutes. Mike doesn't run long these days. So, wow. And second of all, we canceled the contest because everybody was so interested in what she had to say, and she had so much to say. So we pushed back the Monday contest, to Wednesday, to do contests on Wednesdays. We will do a contest today. But look, if you're job hunting, if you're career changing, whatever your level of experience is in the field that you're going into, from zero to I'm already an expert, check that show out. It's one that I'm going to be referring people to for the next year or two, or maybe not, because we're hoping to bring her back very quickly in 1 or 2 different capacities. Once again, probably as a standalone guest where she just talks to Mike and takes questions. And Mike is talking about creating a panel of experts on employment and career changes and all of those pieces. So don't miss that. Do not miss that. So to the original point, Tuesday rolled around and Wednesday rolled around, and I got this message about an hour before Mike's show on Wednesday, maybe a little more than that, where he said, the pain, oh, the pain, can't do show, do show. So I covered for Mike on his Wednesday show. All we did was Q&A. It was a really good show. For a Q&A show, I just walked away from that one feeling really, really good. Hey, the weather is good here. We have no contractors here. So, and I rebooted the machine freshly, so I'm not anticipating any outages today like we had on the show last week. So let's see who's here. It's a quiet start. Chris Kent starts out leading the pack an hour before showtime at 1:03, wishing us all good afternoon and happy Friday. Very good, Chris Kent. Good to see you. Tolowitz comes in his usual 30 minutes early or so. Blue Lantern posts the first question of the day, which about a half an hour before showtime, I texted an answer. But if you're still here, Blue Lantern, will the questions always specify how many answers to select? Pick 2, choose all that apply, whatever. And the answer to that, I assume you're talking about a CompTIA exam. The answer to that is yes. And let's be kind of specific here. There are 1 answers, and they won't tell you 1 answer. Okay, if they don't tell you some number of answers, then it's 1. And you'll know that because if you click on an answer and say, oh, you know what, this one's right also, and you click on this one, then the one you clicked initially will unclick. So you can't select two if only one is allowed. Then there are some select twos. There are some select threes. There are some PBQs, performance-based questions, where you're given a scenario, then you're given some graphical utilities to work with. Here's a firewall, click and drag it, do whatever. And once you get it all configured, you're able to answer a question that may be a multiple choice or multiple select, right? Multiple choice means one answer. Multiple select means more than one answer is available. And then, of course, there are PBQs where you actually have to do something in the PBQ and hit the enter key or the click OK key when you're done, and then just move on. And there's no questions to answer. You just do the task. Sorry, still a little throat clearing, but so much better. All right, hope that helps. Andre de Goyer just finished supper and is ready to go. I hope you had a really good supper, Andre, sorry. I always think Andrew's here. He's not today. Andre de Goyer, anybody got some fresh water left? Yeah, I just listening to the woes of Europe. You guys are getting dry. We're dry down here in Texas and all throughout the U.S. Southwestern community. We got rain here at the house yesterday, 2 showers that 2.5 inches. So 2.5 times 2 is 5, 6, between 6 and 7 centimeters. And what a blessing. What a blessing. My yard still looks like a dried up hayfield, but I keep the front yard a little bit moist. And that really brought back a little bit of life into the backyard. Towit, I'm surrounded by salt water. I haven't thought the Rhine was made of white wine. If I see Toluit's name, remind me not to read out loud until I've already read it. Catherine Morgan, hey, yeah, Dave, happy Friday, happy Pi Day, happy drama. It must be me. Hey, by the way, I've posted 2 posts this week on LinkedIn. If you're not following me on LinkedIn, you want to see my post, follow me on LinkedIn or link with me. I will link with you. Whatever invitation I get, I pretty much say yes to. One of them was about today's show, so no need to go back and read that one. You're going to find out about today's show today. And then the other one was kind of a summary of Monday's Mike's interview guru, Stephanie DeLong show. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So I hope that one stays up for a long time. The link for that to the archive is up. And it were wunderbar. Caden Coolidge, hey, all, can't stay long. Just wanted to say hi. Hope everyone's having a great day. Welcome, Caden. Nice to see you, sir. Hang as long as you can. Annoyed. There's a new name. Applied for tier 1 positions. Tried studying for CompTIA on my own and was overwhelmed. Yeah, you know, to each their own. Some people can do it. Some people can't. I'm not sure what you mean by on your own. To me, on your own means no other human directly involved. Somebody's not standing in front of a classroom and lecturing at you, but watching a lecture on video, reading a book, are those on your own? You know, maybe not. But either way, good luck. And, you know, there's always, we've got 3 resources. And if you stick around today, I'm giving away a practice test later on this in the show today, about 45 minutes or so from now. And so Mike and all of us recommend these 3 resources, a good book, right? A book is designed to fill in for the experience that some people don't have when they're pursuing an IT certification. CompTIA recommends that before testing for A+, that you should have a year of hands-on supporting PCs. You're going to run into a lot of stuff over that year. Now, if that's not possible, I've got to get this thing. I'm changing careers. I've never been in the industry, and I've got 30 days or 3 months or whatever to get my certification. That's what you want the book for. The book has everything, for the most part. Obviously, there's going to be more and less that you would encounter in a year of hands-on. So get a good book, get that foundation and depth and breadth of information. Then Doesn't have to be in this order. You can do it in any order, combined order. Get a good video series like Mike Myers, A+, 1001, 1002, and upcoming 1101 and 1102. Those are not designed to get you to pass the test if you have never had any experience. They will if you use the book with it, but if not, they're kind of designed as cram sessions, right? They're focused on things that we hear and get reports that are being tested on. Sometimes we go above and beyond because Mike likes to see well-rounded technicians, and sometimes there are things that even people who've been working at it for a year or so don't encounter or need more practice. And so we put a little more time and effort into that. But basically, video courses are a cram course that are built and predicated on you having the recommended experience level. And then finally, so you've done all that, you've studied, how am I doing? I mean, you don't know until how you're doing until you take a test. So good practice test. Ours, somebody else's, we like ours. Ours has a very strong reputation of being the closest to what you're going to encounter on the real CompTIA exams. So can't recommend ours enough. And I am giving away total tester practice test this very day. And if you don't get it today, I'm going to show you 2 ways to get them cheap. 1, buy them. They're really cheap. Not only are the best out there as a paid product and as one that gets supported. Watch that. That's a really important thing when you're shopping for practice tests. You're not going to find any less expensive than ours. And 2, I'm going to show you in a little while how to get a bundle that will include practice tests. All right. Says Chris Kent at 2:01 when the show started. Today's a great day. We have new Spider-Man on PC. Well, thank goodness. Kylie Powder, I'm here. TD Wash, Dave and Chatters just got in from my power walk. Oh, we're back into 90s terminology, TD. Chris Kent is present. We know that because he posted. It must be me, everybody. Happy Friday, Kylie Powder. Like the shirt today. This is one of the ones that I bought. I don't know, winter or something like that. I picked up 20 some odd shirts, and this one I was in the middle of the stack, and I have not been able to wait. I keep seeing that one. It's like 3 weeks I'm gonna get to wear that one. 2 weeks I'm gonna get to wear that one. It's silk or rayon. I didn't look at the label, but I like it. It's smooth and silky on me. Okay, so Andre de Goyer points out something useful and important to Annoyed. Love that. Join us on Discord, he says. So let me put up the links of the cool things. Sorry about that, ear itch. I have a nest of black widows living in there. I got to get them out. Anyways, we have a list of really cool things that we would like you to join and participate. It's not that we'd like you to, it's where we'd be happy if you did. Show notes, that's over here. So first and foremost, let me get this one out of the way, and then I'll put these up on slides. I have just posted at the current time, 13 minutes after the hour, the link to our special deals. Let me go put that up on here. Deals. Share them. So every week we have a discount that we offer to all of the people who watch our shows. We don't advertise this anywhere else. So this is just for you because you're kind enough to join us. We think you should be rewarded, and we do that with this here deal. Share screen, click, clack. And so if you are looking to take one of these 7 tests, we've got study aids for you. We have an ebook, and we have practice tests, and then there's videos available on Udemy, or you can buy videos directly from us. But if you will go to totalsem.com, pick one of these 7 areas of study, and then put 2 things in the basket. You're going to create your own bundle. So you're going to put the ebook from, let's say you're studying Security Plus, and Total Tester for Security Plus. You put those in your bundle, and then when you check out, use the discount code FLAKES, and you will get 50% off of both of those items when you check out. It's an amazing, incredible deal considering how inexpensive it already is. That's good till this Sunday night, August 14th. don't want to ask me what time zone. Do it before Sunday so you don't have to worry about it. And that will be available to you. Next. There exists a Discord channel that people here set up and moderate. They set it up initially so that they could talk about the show and its topics after the shows. And it's expanded into so much more. And man, they're just, I'm not even going to list it all off anymore. Come and visit us there. That is the thing to do. Let me put that link for you in the chat feed right now. I'm on there 24 hours a day as long as I'm awake. If I'm sitting at my computer, and I usually am, you can ping me, ask me anything, and there are hundreds of other people there who ask questions, who answer questions on all kinds of different topics. We got game topics over there, and Linux, and study groups, and Raspberry Pis, and help me fix my computer, and zillions more. Lots of security stuff has been growing on there lately. So please join us on Discord. It is the unofficial Total Seminars Discord channel, which means we didn't set it up. Total Seminars has nothing to do with it. It was just named after us. So we don't operate it. We're not moderators. We're just participants like everybody else. But a couple of the people here are moderators. I haven't seen the person who set it up in a little while, at least not here on the forums. But come on over, join us. And last thing, while I'm at this, I'll get this covered, I guess next to last thing. There is another server that I invite you to check out. It is a server that's sitting on top of my desk. I turn it on Friday morning, I turn it off on Sunday night, and then I'll turn it on anytime you want if you will send me contact, email, or what a Discord message. So if you're watching this on the archive right now and you said, oh, it's Tuesday, that it's not up, just kick me off a note and say, hey, Dave, I'd like it to be up at Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Central Daylight saving time. And I will bring it up at that time, or make sure that it's up and available for you. What's there? Why do I care about this, Dave? Well, I'm using notes to do this. I'm using slides to do this. I have code snippets. I have schematics and pictures. And so for every show, when we do a project, I take all that stuff, bundle it up in a zip file, and put it on that server with a download link. It's all organized in chronological order. Go to the first page, go to the select download page or download links or whatever it is. That takes you to all of our shows. And then you can download everything that I'm using here to do the show. So I encourage you to do that. Enjoy it. And then the last thing, what if I want to contact you, Dave? I'm glad you asked that question. Whilst I put that up, give me a second and I will post contact information here. Checklist, drama, show notes. How to contact Dave. Contacts, Mike Myers, Dave Rush. Okay, so here are my email addresses. I'm putting them in the chat feed. They're there. And let's put up my LinkedIn profile. It makes it easy for you to link with me or follow. And follow me, I'll follow you if you're interested. So at any rate, you can contact me anytime. Either my company email, daver@totalsem.com, or at my personal email, drushtx @yahoo. If I'm gaming on Steam, I'm bloodrushtx. You can call the office. And I'm never there. We're mostly kind of evacuated the office. We had a COVID scare a week ago and everybody was sent home, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, put a kink in shooting last week. We're in the midst of shooting the new A+ video courses. But there you go. All right. Those are ways to contact Dave. More stuff on that thing later. Yeah, so that's the big question, Tullowit. Let's see here. Oh, Marcellus Jones. Hey, good to see you, my friend. Catherine Legrand is here. Who we got here? We have less people now than when the show started. Come on, call your friends. I don't mind a light load. It's okay. It's funny. I get somewhere between 20 and 100 views on the live show. And then by the end of the week, it's up to 300 or 400. So everybody watches on the archives. And I hope you're watching. At any rate, okay, Catherine, so Tullowit, So that's the big question. Is it centimeters or centimeters? Because it's an altimeter, not an altimeter. Self-made mushroom soup with a lot of mushrooms, some garlic, onion, cooking cream, diced pork belly. That sounds absolutely lovely. And it is something on my incredibly restrictive diet that I could eat. So next time I'm coming there, make me homemade, self-made mushroom soup. We make our mushroom soup homemade. We learned that a few years ago and threw away any can of cream of mushroom soup, never to be seen or heard from again. We only make homemade, fresh. It's wonderful. I won't pick my own mushrooms. I have this desire to live. Way too many stories about mushroom pickers who killed an entire community or their entire family or whatever. So I'll pass on that. You don't eat pork belly in Canada. We have back bacon, eh? I love back bacon. I know the book is what I need. Okay. So, pick up the ebook. Hopefully you'll win the contest today. Since you're new, there's a good chance you're going to do well on that. I love the customizability of Total Sims practice test. Okay. So we have this Total Sims practice test, and not only does it look and act, if you want, just like the CompTIA exams, about the only thing that's different is the color codes. It's very customizable. So you can say, I only want questions from this domain. I only want this many questions. I want it timed or I want it untimed. I want it with hints or without hints. Very, very customizable. My favorite method is simulate the exam. When you select that method, it'll be timed 90 minutes, and you will get the same percentage of domain questions as you'll get on the actual exam. For instance, the exam might say 19% of the exam, 19% of the exam questions will come from domain 1, 23% will come from domain 2, 18% from domain 3. Get the idea? So if you say simulate exam, that's what it'll do. It'll select out of our pool. They've all been organized into domains, the matching percentage from the CompTIA exam, which means pretty soon we got to start domainifying all of our new 11OX questions. Thank you, TD Washington. It must be me. I took a practice test and I don't understand this question. It says that a user is being redirected to a suspicious website regardless of what he types into his browser. That was posted, so I'm guessing it must be me, on CompTIA subreddit the other day. Lots of people answered that one. If you're not the one who posted that, ask me that again on Discord. It is my belief that that question is a brain dump, and that means I could potentially here be talking about an actual CompTIA question which violates my NDA. So, but other people are free to discuss it. So I recommend, it must be me, that you post that for discussion over on the unofficial Total Seminars Discord server. Thought the answer would be updated. Yeah, this is you, because that's exactly what you said. So yeah, I can't talk about that question here on this forum. It must be me. I'm sorry. I know I'd been watching Mike and bought a few practice exams as well. Okay, good. Videos are on sale on Udemy on a frequent basis. Absolutely. There's always a sale going on Udemy, going from the bottom end of about 10 US to $12.99, $13.99 US. Just wait till the sale comes up. There's always a sale coming up in a few days. All right, 213, my post for the specials this week. Where to get them, what the code is, flakes. Cooking is fun. Abu Bakr Al-Haj, my good friend from the Middle East, Discord invitations up. Andre, I write down my recipe and put it there as well. Cool. Yeah, we got a food section in there, right? Recipes or cooking. I don't remember the name of it, but I have to translate it at first. Nah, make him translate it. Tell her what's a polyglot. Love that word. Ace Cobalt. Just, man, one of the finest YouTube avatar names out there. That's too good. I'm Ace Cobalt. Anybody know who Ace Rimmer is? Love Ace Rimmer. Smoke me a kippa. I'll be back for breakfast. Okay, shooting. What counts? Good afternoon. All right, Cinderfly's here. Good afternoon. Must be me. Okay, sorry. It was from Dion's practice test. Yeah, so that one was discussed. Hey, there you were, polyglot. We're in agreement. That was discussed. That very question on CompTIA subreddit. So you can also just go look for that question as well. And you know what? Hey, it's Dion's question, but by all means, post it on Discord. But if I were you, I would contact Dion. He's got several sites. He does live Q&As. You want the right answer from his perspective, since he wrote the question, talk to him. Choco Taco, be still my beating heart. Welcome back. All right, caught up on questions. Let's see what's on my notes to talk about this fine day. Not those notes. These notes. I feel like I missed something here. Anyways, it is Friday, August 12th. We're watching drama. Dave Rush Ask Me Anything on Pi Day Friday. We get together every Friday at 2 o'clock Central Time for about 2 hours to do Q&A on any tech topic, what's in the news. Pretty much anything is fair game if it's not religion, politics, or pandemic stuff. Somewhere during that first hour of the show, we do a giveaway contest. And then during the second hour, typically about the top of the second hour, we do some kind of a project with a Raspberry Pi to see if we can find a way to use it to foster studies in technology and CompTIA certifications and other certifications. Such is kind of the case today. We got a project today, to be sure. Andrew's not with us today, so I can scroll past that. It means I'm doing my own. If you're keeping track, and I can't imagine why you would be, but I do. This is show number 105 as far as drama shows go. By the way, we do AMAs 3 times a week. I do mine on Fridays at 2 o'clock, runs till 4 o'clock. Mike Myers himself, the man, Alpha Geek, does 2 shows a week, Monday at 2 o'clock, this same channel, and Wednesday at 2 o'clock, this same channel. So I hope you'll join him. He would like to hear from you. I think he will be in much better shape on Monday and be able to do his show. Our focus here is using Raspberry Pi computers to advance our skills and knowledge and prepare for CompTIA exams and expand our abilities in the real world of computing expertise. So we use Raspberry Pis as an everyday entree into how does Linux works. I use them sometimes and teach a little bit of electronics. Let's make an LED work. Let's make a switch work. Now let's control it with a web server, do a little programming. Today, pure, wow, hard to describe today. I'll just get into it when we get into it. Talked about how to contact us. We talked about the AMA specials. Today's code is Flakes. There'll be new code Monday morning. Oh, I love next week's code. I'll give you a hint. It's 2 letters. That's all I'm going to give you. But that means there's only 26 squared, possible 2 to the 26th possible combinations. Okay, as far as projects go, a reminder, some of our projects are designed and built to work exclusively on Raspberry Pi. Some of them a little more open and flexible. Today's project is a project using a piece of software called BusyBox, one word. And you can do BusyBox on just about every popular or major distro out there. I'll get into what it is and what it does and why it's cool and why you want to use it and why you don't want to use it sometimes. I mentioned that my server is up. I didn't give you the name. It's that's weird. pirsquare.zapto.org. The link is in the channel, in the YouTube chat channel. So where we've been, where are we going? I'm seeing wonkiness and weirdness on my feed. Let me go look at the chat here. You guys noticing anything weird? Okay, no. It's not frozen. Doesn't look frozen. All right, moving on. So last week, we installed and used a utility called ARPing, A-R-P-I-N-G. It's not built into most Linux distros, but you can install it very easy. and it's a utility that's used to find duplicate IP addresses. And then I gave you some strategies on once you've found them, as far as software goes. Yes, I've detected this MAC address has IP address 1234. So does that MAC address. Now let's go figure out where those computers are and get one or both of them fixed. So ARPing, heck of a troubleshooting utility. It's a cross between the ARP utility and the ping utility. Has some unusual and powerful switches, amazing stuff. So where are we going today? We're going to look at BusyBox, what it is, where it's used, how it's used. I guess what I've got here is a tutorial. I took some information from an article that I'm posting to the chat feed right now. And I suppose I took a lot of information from that. I took a lot from a lot of other places too. I've changed up his examples to work with ours, but really good article on BusyBox. And we're not going to do everything that BusyBox can, would, or should do. I'm kind of laying down some groundwork for you and showing you some basics on it. But BusyBox is way more powerful and interesting than we have time to get into today. I'm going to keep it short, on the order of 25 minutes, no more than 30 minutes when we get into the project. All right, back to here. We did the contact page. We got pirsquare.zapto.org for my archive documents. Check that out. All right, let's go see who is posting stuff. Must be, okay, yeah, check over there. No weird detected. Very good. Ace Cobalt, has Mike ever considered naming his Q&A Mama? I don't think so. He likes both of his letters, so AMA might have crossed his mind, but no, he doesn't name it. It's not Mama or Mama. It's the Mike Myers AMA or Mike Myers Ask Me Anything show. Naming things cute is not the way his mind works. Dude, you sound like Mike. Says temporary name. Welcome, temporary name. That was definitely new for me. Why do I sound like Mike? I'm trying to think. Affectations, do I use any of his terms and phrases? What you've got to understand, the cornerstone of this concept, those are our favorite pick on Mike's phrases that he uses over and over and over for years in videos and presentations. If I were going to quote Mike today, I would say, my knee hurts. I know that just blew your ears off. Sorry. I fly over there and use up the rest of your water. All right, well, let's get into news, tricks, and traps of the week. Yeah, it's only 33. So Pi Square Zapto is up. I was going to not put an archive up for today. It's a project today, but it's so simple. And it's got some demonstrations and lecture, but it's just not something that really needs a an archive, a document to follow along. You can do it, but so be it. I do want to share this one with you. I encountered this yesterday. First of all, most of the regulars here know that I run a Raspberry Pi somewhere around the house, running a piece of software called Pi-hole. Pi-hole is a DNS sinkhole for those of you who aren't familiar with it. What happens is normally when your computer is running and you type in a URL, www.reallycoolplace.com, your system says, I can't do that. I don't know what reallycoolplace.com is or means. So it puts a hold on that and it sends out a message to what you've set up as a preferred DNS server and says, find me, dear DNS server, the IP address of reallycoolplace.com. And there's going to be some back and forth between it and you and some other servers. It all happens very rapidly and all happens in the background, but eventually you learn, your system will learn the IP address of reallycoolplace.com, and then it can build a packet. You can't put a URL in a packet. You have to put IP addresses in there. Well, this happens on web pages. Go to some web pages. Obviously, you had to get the IP address for the web page itself, but within the web page, there's often calls to servers that hold the graphics for it, to web apps, and then most horribly to advertising. And so if there's an advertising block that's built into a web page, your system says, oh, I see that I'm supposed to load up in the browser reallyhorribleads.com. And so it makes a call to your DNS server, and it does all that searching to learn the IP address of horribleads.com. And then it formulates a packet and goes out and gets the ad and puts it in there. Well, Pi-hole says, let me be your DNS server. Always call me and I'll do the work for you. And I have a block list, and you can add more, many more. My block list has 300,000 blocked domains in it. And it doesn't really block them. What happens is when my system calls over there and says, hey, I need the IP address for horribleads.com, that DNS server looks in the block list. And if it finds that in the block list, it just doesn't bother to do the lookup, just ignores it. It drops it in a black hole. We call that a DNS sinkhole. So I've been running my Pi-hole for years. I update it. I have one block list in it. It's the default one that came with it. It serves my needs always. I've never felt the need to add more block lists out there. And there are hundreds or maybe thousands of additional block lists out there. Well, 2 days ago, I was researching something that I wanted to talk to you about today, and I couldn't get to the site. It took me a little while to say, wait a minute, is it possible that Pi-hole is blocking the site? It's a very popular, very important site in the industry. So I fired up the Pi-hole admin page, and then I tried to go to this site, and then I go look at the block list, and sure enough, it was blocked. So I whitelisted it and able to get to the site. And the site is dice.com. Dice.com is a technical recruiter, and I'm not using them for that purposes. They publish a really good annual survey of technical salaries based on all kinds of criteria, education, certifications, and things like that. So it was just an odd thing that I had to unblock a default blocked item in my Pi-hole. So if you're running a Pi-hole, consider doing a lookup in there for dice.com and whitelisting it. It's an important thing to do. All right, so let's now share with you what's going on this salary survey that they posted. This is the 2021 salary survey. Let me share it. And I guess let me also post the link to this page. Stand by. There it is, Dice salary survey. I wanted the whole thing here. It all fits. All right, so I've just posted the link to the page that I've got shared. And I want to talk a little bit about what's on this page. So this is from 2021. They do have the 2022 version out. It's a little different layout, but I'll take you on a quick tour of that. So they tell us there's 15 certifications linked to high salaries for technologists. That's important, right? Having these certifications that you're going to see in this list in a second doesn't get you these high salaries, but there are some very high salaries and very well-paid positions that people hold, where they also, as part of their credentials, hold these certifications. So here we go. It's going to blow your head off. Top paying certifications. Google Certified Professional Data Engineer. Now, just because you hold a CPDE certificate doesn't mean you're going to make $170,000 US a year. And notice as you go down through this list and of these top salary surveys, we don't hit a CompTIA until we get down to $110,000. Some of you I know are working on CISM, CISSP, certainly project management. So what do I need besides this stuff? Well, most of these folks also have project management experience, managerial experience, and degrees in those fields. But along the way, they've also picked up some of these other certifications. There's our friend CCNP Enterprise, Cisco Network Professional at the enterprise level. How about Windows Server? I know there's a lot of folks, not a lot, there are some folks over on the Discord channel that have been pursuing, and some have achieved Windows Server certification. So here's an idea for those people who post on sites all the time. I've just completed my trifecta. What certification should I go for next? Well, certificates don't get you jobs. They don't get you paid. Experience does. Interview techniques do. Degrees, but those add to your credentials and improve your chance of getting interviewed and hired. Now, if we head down here a little bit more, you'll see some of the caveats that I talked about. This isn't all it's about. You need other credentials and management experience and things like that. But here's the other thing that I want to take you to, this first red box. Download the 2022 salary survey report. I'm going to click on that. You don't actually have to download it. So this one is organized a little differently. It's not a one-page chart summary. Takeaways, table of contents, salary trends, salary satisfaction, Benny skills, and so forth. I'm not going to go through all this nonsense. You can read this as well as I can. But do check that out. It's an interesting read to help you focus on career selection. How's that? All right, back to notes here. Not those notes, these ones. That was the DICE salary survey. Oh, last thing I wanted to talk about in news, tricks, traps, and techniques is what happened to the web server last week. So I fired up the web server in the morning, as I always do, and I didn't check it, which is unusual. I actually always check it. And last week, you know what? I don't have to check it. It always works. And then right in the middle of the show, somebody said, it's not working. So I did a quick fix attempt to find it. And with a piece of information from the person who found a failure, he did some testing, it was Tullowit. He gave me a great idea on where the problem might be. And so I did post for some help on other sites, but anybody who posted anything there was wrong. And I had this theory that an update that I performed last Tuesday might have made a change to one of the pieces of software that runs my web server. Maybe it was Apache, maybe it was the PHP support libraries, whatever. So I went and did some digging and exploring, wrote some PHP pages that worked, took some of my PHP, they worked. Blah, they worked. That's the answer. All right, the web server works, PHP works. That means there's something wrong with my existing PHP files. So I wasn't sure what it was going to be. So first thing I did was get the system up and running by converting my normal pages to HTML pages. That was quick and painless. It was a good patch, and at least it made the site navigable, and you're able to download stuff. Then I started studying what's changed in the PHP syntax and went through all my PHP pages, edited them, fixed the headers in them to deal with the change in PHP, and then got rid of the HTMLs and switched back to PHP, and everything's working. So what happened? An update that I did a week ago made a change to one of the support processes, PHP, in my web server, and that change made the way I wrote my PHP web pages in the past out of date and non-functional. Cool, huh? You want to know what Linux administrators do? That's what they do. And I'll tell you, there's two things, right? They plan and implement Linux systems, and not every time, but very commonly through the course of a year, we try to keep our systems updated and upgraded. And sometimes this happens. And then you got to spend time researching and figuring out what changed and what you have to do about it, or how to go back and unchange it and deal with changes in the future. And that's the same kind of thing that any server administrator does. Microsoft Windows servers and any other server out there, things change. Things are constantly changing that may or may not be beyond your power to prevent. So you got to fix stuff. All right, that takes us up to the contest. Let's go see who's chatting some more. How are we doing here? 45. That's the perfect place to be at this time. All right, I'm picking up messages at 2:33. If you don't have your timestamps enabled, enable your timestamps and you'll know where I'm at. All right, Chris Kent says at 2:33, is Professor Messer a good source of information in addition to total seminars? Sure. His presentation style is a little different, but he's fine. He's knowledgeable. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. So sure. And same for the other big name in the trifecta world, and then the really big name in the Sec Plus, Daryl Gibson. What a great guy! What a great author. Hollywood may bring the pineapple, but you know where it's going, on the pizza. Blue Lantern, how about Mike's Udemy courses, plural, and love listening to them at work. Nice. Yeah, you know, you can get a lot from just listening. You don't have to see everything. Dicey site. I won't dignify that, but take the gamble. TD Washington, 239. I've wondered the same about pronunciation of multimeter. Okay. So I live in the electronics world. Everybody calls it a multimeter, but sure. How about a multimeter? Juan Flores has joined us at 241. Will getting an associate's degree in IT be the same as going for the trifecta in terms of earning potential? Man, I have no way to answer that. Let me think about this for a minute. An associate's in IT, does that get you equivalent opportunity as trifecta certifications? No, I think it depends on the job you're pursuing. There are some positions where that will carry more weight than certifications, and other way around. The right answer is both. Okay. In almost any pursuit that those credentials would get you employment, carrying one certification that's appropriate for the job you're looking for, and a 2-year IT degree, it carries a lot of weight. A virtual hammer. Kylie Powder joined us at 244, talking to Tullowit. Works every time for me. The Maxwell, you need a silver hammer for that. Bang, bang. Possibly use a bronze hammer instead of silver. Oh, good. Kylie was right in there for silver. Nice job. Annoyed, still here. It may have been overwhelmed by studying without direction. Messer is what I bought. Well, that's unfortunate. Messer is what you use to augment having bought Mike Myers stuff. Nah, it's fine. Buying Messer, in my opinion, is way better than trying to piece together in an appropriate order his YouTube stuff. It's not well ordered. At least it hasn't been in the past. But you get his purchase products, and they're all ordered in a nice learning arc. You know, for some people, his teaching style is acceptable. For me, I can't watch him on little screen with the big microphone sitting there, and it's just a little dry for my taste. I can't learn from it. I find my head in the soup after a couple hours. I need worksheets and practice. Yeah. Guys, I prefer Mike's teaching style. Yeah, you know, to each their own. Okay, well, let's do a contest. I feel like giving away something. Let's say, for instance, a total tester. Yeah, that's a good thing to give away. You know, before I say that, I should have all of my stuff prepped and copied and ready to go. And then I can just smoothly transition and segue into these things. But I didn't. But I will. I'm a man, but I can change if I have to, I guess. I know somebody got that reference a couple of weeks ago. I went with a different reference from the same show, but show notes. Okay, there's my contest question, and we've got this. So we're gonna hold a contest. We're gonna give away to the winner of this contest 90 days free access to any total tester practice test that we create. So we've got all kinds of CompTIA ones. We got all kinds of non-CompTIA ones, AWS ones, and other things like that. To find out what we have, head on over to totalsem.com and go look at practice tests on the index tabs at the top and look at our practice test. If you win, and even if you don't, you may want to buy one. They're not very expensive. And if you win today, I need you to send me an email today with instructions that I'm going to provide for you, because I submit this stuff tonight. If you don't submit it today, it's going to get delayed at least a week. And I never know when the people who do this stuff are on vacation. Today's contest is not going to be a random number. I've kind of enjoyed going back to knowledge questions. This one is a moderate level one. It's not an easy one. It's not super tough. But this is going to be a Linux question, but I got a really nice hint for you that's going to help out here. So I'm going to ask you a question. The answer is a Linux command. And so when you type in the answer, you get one chance. You can only type in one answer one time. If you type in more than once, I'm going to discard all your answers. So one chance, and there's not many people here. So your chances of winning are, you know what? How many people are here? There's not that many. Yeah. Just trying to decide how difficult the question is and if you're going to need more than one chance. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to let spelling be sloppy. I like it to be close, because if you're close in Linux, it doesn't work. You got to be perfect. And that was kind of my planned goal in here. You got to type it in perfectly, but I'll let you loose on that. So I'm going to ask you a question. The answer is going to be a particular Linux command. Person who tells me to my satisfaction what command answers this question will win access 90 days to Total Tester practice test of your choice. So that being the case, let's get the question up and shared, and you're going to post your answer in the YouTube chat feed. I'm just trying to decide if there's a way to allow multiple entries. We'll see how it goes. Maybe if I don't get any winners on this one, I'll make up an easier question. That's the way to do it. All right, share this. Here comes the question. Ready to see it? Comes with a hint. So the question, what is the name of the Linux utility / command used to view the contents of standard logs? And here's your hint. I did a show on this a few weeks ago. We spent an entire project talking about a particular command in Linux, and it's in an all standard version of Linux that allows you to look at standard logs. All right, let's see who's posting answers. I see there's some questions that popped up here. So while they're coming in, I'll address those while you're thinking about it and researching. Nothing wrong with researching. If you don't know the answer, take a minute or so. Lots of other people don't know the answer. Patty Powder, Message doesn't have the great Mike Strom. And who doesn't like the great Mike Strom? I went through all of Messer's vids only as a preview for real study. Oh, that's a little harsh, but okay. Tell making guesses before the contest got around to it. Cole Mackey. Hey, welcome, Cole. Nice to see you, my friend. Patty Powder, we are super smart. We only need one chance. Syslog is the name of one of the logs that you could use to see it. I want to know the name of the utility that reads the log, that shows you the contents of the log. So I see lots of people telling me where the logs are. Cool. Okay, those of you who are focusing on syslog, this log reading utility can read more than the sys log, can read the SSH log, can read almost all the logs that you find in var log. I love Mike's dad jokes. So do his children and grandchildren. Catherine Legrand says, wow. Okay, that's something interesting. I'm going to have to add to my notes here. I am shocked, stunned, and amazed. Keep going here. Cole Mackey, glad to join you, Mr. Rush. Likewise, I'm very glad to see you. Always nice to see a new face in the crowd. What am I looking for? This. Okay. Less. Love the less command. Use it all the time. Annoyed has posted 2 answers with different spellings of the same thing. All right, we got a winner here. Xlog master. E-message. E-message will read certain things. All right, the answer that I was looking for, the one that we did a show on, is journal control, journal CTL. Let's put that answer up here. And we did get somebody who has the correct answer, got it right on his first post of an answer. And what a guess. I had this theory that Annoyed had a very good chance of winning today, the total access, and I didn't have to do anything, no nudges or shoving to make it happen. It happened organically. So Annoyed, journal control is the correct answer. Congratulations, you've won 90-day free access to the Total Tester practice test product of your choice. I've just posted the instructions in the YouTube chat feed at 2:56 my time, 56 minutes past the hour. And let me put up the instructions. I want you to copy and paste that. So when you send me an email, you will do it exactly as I need it. So what you're going to do with those instructions, you're going to send an email to me, daveR@totalsem.com. And then in the body of the email, you must put 4 pieces of information. They must be separate pieces of information. And it's, first of all, your YouTube name. Sorry. Annoyed I was trying to do. Your real name, first name and surname. The email address that you want us to send, and don't say, well, I guess you won't, same as my YouTube name, because I don't think your name is Annoyed, but I do like the idea. The email address that you want us to send your access credentials to, and don't tell me the name of the Total Tester product that you want. Tell me the name, pick the product that you want, and then tell me the test number that product is helping you prepare for. So if it's Security Plus, I want to see SY0601. If it's AWS System Architecture, I think that's, I don't know, AW0CO2, whatever it is. So give me the exam number in the body of your email. I will get that from you today, please. And I'll submit that to the nice folks tonight. They will attack it first thing Monday morning, if they're in the office first thing Monday morning, and you should hear from them probably Monday, but certainly early on in the beginning of the week. So congratulations, Annoyed. You must now change your name, because you can't be annoyed after a win like that, huh? Sorry, I just heard some sounds out there. I thought it might be raindrops falling on my house. Oh, it's rain. It's rain. Doesn't look like much. Why don't I just knock everything over here? I don't think I'll pick that. I don't think I'll reset it up on the thing, but I am going to pick it up so that I don't lose track of it when I do want to go put that all back together. All right. Anything else pop up in? I know you want, bro. Did somebody else had a journal control? I think e-message. No, he was the only one that had it. Very good. Very good. Congratulations. Try to make it a little easier on next week's contest. Now, what's going on here? Like if you don't core 1, the older. Yeah. Okay. Right. So anybody who's working on A+, remember, you still have more than 3 months. It goes on it retires on October 20th. So you have 3 months and 8 days. So practice tests and the usual stuff, 3 months is the average that people take to study with or without experience. So it is not too late to pursue 220, 1001, and 220, 1101. And by the way, if you do request either of those, that's the one thing where we have both. So don't say Net Plus, because I don't know if you mean N10007, which is retired now, or N10008. You got to tell me N10007 or N10008. Why would I get N10007? There are people who started studying an old certification and didn't finish it, and they just got to finish it. I mean, they can't take the test, but for the sake of their heart, their completion, they will pursue it until they know everything about it. I get questions like that from people on obsolete forum pages that we still maintain regularly, not all the time, but enough to know that I'm getting them. But A plus, if you say 220 001 or 1001 or 220 1002, you will get them both. That's the only one that we provide as a complete bundle. You're very welcome, Annoyed, Colmacki. Messer's not bad. I watched all of Mike Myers on LinkedIn videos and read the book and then reviewed Messer's videos as a fast review. I think that's a good approach. Messer is a little closer to a cram course than we are. I got Core 1 scheduled on the 18th, 6 days from now. Okay, good luck. And make sure you check in with us on the 19th. Let's see, that's a Thursday is the 18th. So 19th is my show. 7 days from today, you can check in and give us your pass report. All right, well, that gets us through the first hour or so. Let's start hour number 2 with our project. It's not going to be a long project. We're going to talk about a piece of software called BusyBox. I have heard of BusyBox for a long time, never really known much about it, but I had an idea in my head what it was, and I thought, okay, well, that might be useful or interesting for Raspberry Pi. So I committed to it, did my post on LinkedIn, said, hey, there's the topic that I'm going to do. And then I started studying it and writing up courseware for it. And I think if I knew then what I know now, I might not have done a project on it. It's not a bad project. I think it's probably useful to know, but let me get into the nitty gritty here and kind of explain to you my conundrum, why I'm thinking the way I'm thinking and why I'm not thinking the way I'm not thinking. Hang on, I gotta slide down into notes here. Okay, so if there's a title to the project, it's What is BusyBox? I'll repost the tutorial that I got a lot of information to build from right now on the chat feed. I'm doing a scaled down version of what that writer did. There is no CompTIA objective that is directly related to what BusyBox is or does. I have an indirect objective that might apply, but on some distros, even that doesn't work, and that's how to install it. And it's pretty easy, sudo apt install BusyBox, one word. So my objective as I wrote this and studied it, and I came back and kind of modified what the original objective was, it's to understand BusyBox as it's used to manage Linux systems a little easier. So, okay, there's my note on which system I'm going to use, and I know which utility I'm going to use to do that. We did that. I made a note here myself just to mention this, everybody. BusyBox is licensed under GPL, general public use, so you can use it. Now, what it is, think of it as a box full of commands. And many of the commands are the same commands that you use every day in Linux. The ls command, the cat command, the mv command, the cp for copy, mv for move, ls list stuff. You get the idea. But what's different about these is they have all been recoded and recompiled so that the weird, the unusual switches and options that are available in the full-blown, full-fat versions have been pulled out. Only the most common switches have been left into these versions of these utilities. So there are things that you can't do with the BusyBox version of LS that you can do with the native version of LS, but those things are stuff that almost nobody ever needs. And so we've taken this collection of, oh, and then some of the other commands, there are some different commands in there than your usual ones, because they took 2 or 3 different common commands and said, you know what, these commands have a lot of common functions. Let's combine them together into a single command. All right, so we got 400 commands in here, and they've had all kinds of stuff stripped out of them. And as a result, the total size of all these commands put together within the BusyBox environment is less than 1 megabyte. And I'm going to discuss in a few minutes how to make that even smaller, significantly smaller. So its value in one perspective is run the BusyBox version instead of the full fat version, because it's smaller, it's lighter, it's faster, it doesn't have lots of weird esoteric switches. And that means when you run the help command, BusyBox ls -- help, you're only going to see a list of this many switches and options instead of a list like this. But there's more to it. There's much more to it than that. So BusyBox doesn't take up much space. It can coexist with the regular full fat versions of the commands, or you can use them to completely replace them. It's not something an administrator would want to do. An administrator needs all the power and flexibility, including the unusual switches of commands. But day-to-day users, yeah. But that isn't really what BusyBox is about. It's not about helping everyday users do command line. These are all command line stuff, though there is a minor GUI version. But it helps them do their day-to-day tasks that are very common for them. But that's not what it's all about. I've got some more interesting uses for it. So let's talk about regular real world commands. In fact, let me open up and share an interface with you here. Let's run putty pi at drama.local. Yeah, here it comes. Say no to that. And the password is raspberry, RASPBERRY. I think I missed an R. Yeah, I did. Got it though. All right, now we'll share this. And share. We go over here to share, right? Click this, this, and this. Yay, we're sharing. All right, so I'm logged into a Raspberry Pi server using command line. And I'm going to run a common command, no switches or anything, just ls. Now that's a command that lives somewhere as a program file here in this Linux system. And the same for, I don't know, cat. What's a good thing? Just cat. Now you got to specify something there. That's a program. It lives somewhere here. And hundreds of other commands live in here. Well, we tend to think of them as the Linux commands, but there's actually something a little more to it. There is a package of commands called the GNU core utils package. And it is the source, the collection of all of the day-to-day commands that we use to manage, monitor, and administer our Linux environment. It is so good, it is so cool that most Linux packages build it in. They say, look, as part of our installation, when we go to do this, it's already in the image file that we're installing or whatever. So all those GNU core utils, they contain all these commands that we use every day. Chown, chmod, chgroup, ls, cat, nano. You get the idea. So BusyBox is the same thing. It's just a smaller collection of those. And those collections ones have a lot less switches and therefore a lot less power. So BusyBox is an open source project, provides stripped down implementation of about 400 common Unix and Linux commands. We removed so many of the uncommon and rarely used commands that BusyBox in and of itself is a package that's less than 1 megabyte. That's incredible. Now, just because it's small doesn't mean it's not powerful. It's very powerful. It's so powerful. It has its own shell environments. It has its own init environments, and init is what starts a program. It's a program launcher and manages it. We use programs like systemd and OpenRC to do that. You could throw that out. You don't need that stuff if you want to use BusyBox. Now, BusyBox is probably not the right thing for a day-to-day user, and certainly not for an administrator. But if you're building a system that's space sensitive, if you're doing an installation that is going to do one thing and one thing only, and so you want a really stripped down version of Linux, you're going to install a Linux Lite world, you can lighten that up even further by installing BusyBox and then uninstalling the GNU command utilities, core utils. So that's one thing that it's kind of useful for. If you want to create a super lightweight Linux box that's kind of project specific, this would be really great for a Pi-hole. Right? I can get rid of all that if I cared that much about managing space. My Pi-hole's got a 32 gig micro SD card. I'm not real worried about that. It's a fine performer, but if I really want to squeeze performance out of it and squeeze space out of it, get rid of all that bloated stuff that has programs and switches that I don't need and replace it with BusyBox. And that's another thing that you can do with BusyBox. You can take out from it commands that you don't ever plan on using, you will never need. And I'm thinking of a type of Linux box where that happens all the time. So BusyBox cut downs on rarely used options, for example. All right, so we did an example here. Let's do something here. How about ls -- help? So I did this when I was doing the research on this. There are 42 options here, something like that, 42 lettered options. Plus there's commands like -- help and -- version and some other -- control words in there. So it's in the mid to high 40s worth of options. Now, what I'm going to show you, come here, you. This happens all the time. Depends on your needs. All right, let's come over here. Now, let me show you the BusyBox version of it. It's not significantly stripped down, but I will show you some that are much more so. So to run the BusyBox version of it, I'll say BusyBox ls -- help. And wow, look how much cleaner that is. There's only 20 something switches in here. So it's dramatically shrunk. And I think I came up with, I don't know, like 22 switches in here, plus 3 special word and -- help. So, all right. Clear. I've been playing with DOS lately. Now, let me show you something that's kind of interesting about this. How about I do an ls right now? Just a regular old, back in ls - l. Notice that in here, I see 2 owners of all these files and directories. The first one is an account name, and the second one is a group name. There's an account called Pi. There's a group called Pi. Not surprisingly, the Pi account is a member of the Pi group. Now, let's say I want to not bother to see the group name. I would say ls - l, and then I would add either on another space. I could say -G, or you can combine switches together. G. And now the group name is gone. Now let's try that with the BusyBox version. How about BusyBox ls minus L. There's the group. There's the user, a little different output, but mostly the same. So I'll run that again and I'll add the G. And it says, you're using it wrong. There is no minus capital G. And what that tells me is if I ever run ls and the full fat version of it provides the group, then the BusyBox version is. I cannot, there is no option in the BusyBox version of ls to remove the group owner from the listing. And you know what? Who cares? Who cares? It is the most unusual and weird circumstance where you would have to run an ls command and purposely filter out the group owners. And that's one of the points of BusyBox. So its defaults are different. Unnecessary switches or uncommonly used switches are taken out. Have another one on that. Yes, it's 25 switches and 3 specials in the BusyBox version. How many? There were 39 switches plus special words in the full fat version. All right, so what do you need to run BusyBox? Well, you need a running operation, a running copy of Linux, a running computer that runs Linux, and that's probably it. If it's a popular distro, BusyBox is probably already installed. And I was very surprised to learn that on Raspberry Pi, and then I learned that on all of them. Some documentation that I read about said, hey, BusyBox is in the Raspberry Pi repository. So I said to myself, we must have to install it. Let me show you in the repository here. We'll say apt cache search BusyBox. And this is what I did when I first started doing the research on this project. Boy, that was ungodly slow. And there it is, BusyBox, tiny utilities for small and embedded systems. And then there's some other support files for certain environments. So I said to myself, all right, well, let's install it. I said sudo apt install BusyBox. And I got this result. BusyBox is already the newest version. And there was an auto installed thing back when it was installed. I can get rid of it if I want just by running sudo apt auto remove, but BusyBox is already there. Now, if I want to uninstall BusyBox and then reinstall it, it's quick and it's painless. I did it as part of my testing. You would simply say sudo apt remove BusyBox. It's only a meg. Let's do it. If I totally commit, I think I did this as a practice exercise. You really want to do it? Yeah, of course I could have headed that off at the pass by saying sudo apt install BusyBox minus Y. Let's see, Y is capitalized here in the options, so I don't have to specify Y or N. If I just hit the enter key, the default answer is whatever's capitalized. So enter, buzz, 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 grind, grind, grind. I may regret this because it ran so slow when I did the cache search. Okay, BusyBox is now gone. Let's try BusyBox ls minus L. Nope, there is no BusyBox in here. All right, so let's install it as if it weren't installed, or let's say that you've got some Linux distro that doesn't have BusyBox automatically pre-installed. So sudo apt install BusyBox. While that's happening, I'll go catch up on my notes. All right, while that's going, that's probably gonna be done before I start yapping here. All done. BusyBox ls minus L. All right, all back in operation. So there are 3 uses of BusyBox. One, you can use it to augment normal GNU core utils. That's what we've got going on right now. I've got the full fat GNU core utils and I got BusyBox running. If I want to do a small system and really save some space, I would do it in this order. Start by installing BusyBox and then removing the GNU core utils. If you do it in reverse, if you get rid of core utils first, you'll lose the apt program and you won't be able to install. But here's where you find it used most commonly every day in 2022, 2021, 2020, 2019. And that is as a customized library of commands. That's weird. In an embedded system. I've got here an IoT device. I just pulled it out of the box. There we go. It's so new, it's stiff. This is a WiseCam, WYZE version 2. And I don't have much control over this thing when it's up and running. But I have some. I can tell it which Wi-Fi network to connect to. And of course, I can use its app and watch real-time video and stuff like that. But when there's a firmware update, when there's communications with the server back home, this thing has a very tiny embedded version of Linux in it. And it has an FTP client in there, the FTP command that's built into BusyBox. There's a copy command, there's a move command, there's all a handful, there's BusyBox in here. And the folks over at Wise who created this custom version of Linux said, we're not going to use full fat GNU core utils. We're going to use BusyBox. We're not going to use every command in BusyBox. We're going to use a dozen or 100 of them, whatever it might be. And then we're going to scale those back. And so that can now fit in the very tiny amount of memory that's inside this IoT box. You're going to find the same thing in every IoT box that you're aware of, from mesh network things, what are those, mesh satellites, to thermostats, and it's built into your oven, the control systems in there. All that stuff tends to run, most of that stuff tends to run a super scaled down customized version of Linux. And if it needs traditional commands that somebody's going to interact with as an automated process or user access or administrator access from the factory, they're using commands that were scaled back in BusyBox. They put in, so you can get BusyBox down to a couple of 100K, maybe smaller than that. All right, covered that. Now, I've demonstrated the manual method of using BusyBox. I can run a full fat command like ls. I can run the BusyBox version of it. And there's not a lot of value in doing that for the ls command. You're going to get exactly the same output, BusyBox ls -l. The results are slightly different, but the information is the same. So, okay. There's a few, oops, clear. Oh, I wonder if, I never tried this, which is always a risk. BusyBox, clear. Hey, it worked. If you want to see all of the commands that are available in BusyBox, you can do that. Hang on, I scrolled over on another page. I got to do this. Come on. There we go. Okay. That's a good place for it to be. There's a couple ways to do it. One, you can just type in BusyBox. The other way is to type in a BusyBox command wrong. But here's the basic syntax of using it manually. BusyBox followed by functions. These are all the functions or commands. And followed by any switches, which means arguments. BusyBox list or full shows me all this stuff. We can run scripts within BusyBox. We can, this is where we get really kind of fun. We can install BusyBox commands to replace specific full fat commands. So I might say BusyBox install -s. Yeah, I'm not getting into that. I'm not going that deep into it. but this is, and this is the same thing as the first line, just means without switches. So BusyBox clear. Oh, okay. So if you're in the BusyBox environment, you don't have to proceed it with BusyBox. You can just type in the argument or the form. Now, this is one of the things that I think really bites about it. This list of commands. Really like to see something a little more readable. They're alphabetic, so that's kind of nice, but ugh. And there's not a lot of good documentation out there. It does exist. If you go to the BusyBox I think it's com site, they explain what every one of these commands does. And they all do the same thing that their full fat cousins do. It's just that they don't have as much power as their full fat cousins because we've stripped out some of the switches and arguments. Now, here's the real magic. In a non-embedded system, the embedded system is the true magic. I love that. I live for that. But here's something that you can do, and I'm not going to get into the details of this. You can set up BusyBox so that when you run the BusyBox command, it will run any command within here and any arguments that you want to add to that command. And then you can set up another instance of BusyBox command. When you run it, it runs a totally different option within here. And we do that with a technique called a symlink. And there is, how far did I get in this thing? I got a whole bunch of excess notes in my outline here that I don't need. I'm not going to do that. I got to go here. BusyBox commands. Oh, where's the cat command? Notes on a cat demonstration here that I wanted you to see. All right, let me do this real quick here. Clear. So I got a text file in here that I copied into here a little while ago. It used to be called boot.log.txt, and it was owned by root. I had to sudo copy it into this folder, and I still couldn't access it with Pi, so I had to change the owner to Pi. So originally it was boot.log.txt. I renamed it to bootlog.txt, changed the owner and the group owner from root to Pi, and now I can see it. So if I use full fat cat to take a look at it, it looks like that. If I check the options that I can do with the cat command, full fat, there's not too awful many of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Help and version are a dozen. All right, and you can see there's more information from GNU core utilities. If you want to learn everything there is to know about all the commands that are included in the full fat versions, they'll tell you right where to go and get it. Let's go take a look at the cat command in BusyBox. Much shorter. Okay, I don't have a dozen commands anymore. I've got, or options, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus minus help. And I want you to notice two of these. Minus n, and this is true in the full fat version, puts numbers in front of the output lines, and that includes empty lines. So if you've got a text file that's got text 1, text 2, text 3, space, text 4, text 5, text 6, when you use the cat command with the minus n, every one of those lines will show up in the output with a number in front of it, including the blank lines. If you add the minus b, it will only number actual lines with contents. The blank lines, the non-empty lines, don't get numbered. So let's try that with regular cat. Cat minus n bootlog.txt. Okay, so all these lines have a number in them. There's a total of 95 lines in here. There are no blank lines in here. This looks like a blank. It's just a line that word wraps around. So if I add the -B in here, nothing changes. There's still 95 lines. There's no blank lines in here. But if there were blank lines, if there was one blank line, we would only see 94 of these lines. All right, how about the BusyBox version of it? BusyBox, cat, bootlog, text. So this has no switches. Cool. Do it again and add line numbers. Do it again and don't number blank lines. How about this way? There. Okay, so they're the same because there's no blank lines. But believe me, this cat command is a lot smaller as a program than the full fat cat command. Okay, did that. All right, now I want to talk about symlinks briefly. A symlink is a shortcut. What I can do is I can create a file name in here, call it anything I want, run me. And I'm going to turn that into an alias or a shortcut by linking it to the netcat BusyBox, and I will specify, don't just be run BusyBox. I'll link it to BusyBox cat whack user whack pi whack bootlog.txt with a -B in there. And so whenever I type run me, it will call that command and run that. Then I can do it again, make another symlink with another program name. And so it'll still run BusyBox. Sorry, I can't speak today. But it'll run a different command within there. So you can make your own list of special customized commands here. And it'll call BusyBox and tell BusyBox, or you'll pre-program BusyBox, which internal BusyBox command to run. So that's one thing we can do. That's symlinks. There is another thing that's kind of reverse. One command of BusyBox can be programmed to run different internals. And that's way above and beyond what I want to get into today. We've never talked about the file system in depth. We've never talked about links or symlinks. So it just doesn't make sense to get into symlinks here today. I will do that. As I was writing this, I thought, you know what, that's something we haven't done. We got to do. So I'll add that into the list. That's what I want you to see. BusyBox. It is a collection of stripped down, same utilities mostly, commands that you get in the GNU core utils. You can run it concurrently with the GNU core utils. You can run it in place of GNU core utils, save you some space, save you some options, but you'll lose some power. And the way that it's most commonly used these days is they strip it out and customize it to have just the list of commands that are important to them, not the whole pile of 400 commands. So my, I keep doing that. My Wise camera probably doesn't need the printf command. It doesn't need the ps command. It doesn't need ionice. Doesn't need the IP command. It might, but you get the idea. It doesn't need all 400 of these commands. And so the nice folks over at Wise said, all right, well, let's make the list of the ones we do. We'll pull the other ones out. And now we've got a nice small package to embed into our IoT system. And same thing for most of the other IoT systems out there. They're run by custom versions of Tiny Linux. So BusyBox, a collection of stripped down day-to-day Linux command line utilities, most commonly and best used in embedded Linux systems, stripped down Linux installations where storage and memory space are limited, but you can use it to augment or replace the GNU core utils. And that is our project today, done way early, as I expected we would be. So the rest of today is devoted to conversation, questions, comments, anything except religion, politics, and pandemic, and when you get bored and I get bored and the questions run out, we will close down the world. Exit out of that thing and set this page up to where I need it to be next time. Oh yeah, we got to talk about that when we get close to the end. Voucher winners. Okay. So let's see if anything happened while I was doing that presentation. All right, I'm picking up messages back at around 3:03. Wilson Kunzwana came in. Hola, my friend. Wilson Kunzwana, good Spanish name, if ever there was one. Oh, Mackie, I was going to practice command line in Linux. ifconfig is deprecated. No, it's not. We'll come back to that. I hate when people say that because it's not. And still on A+. Had to do a command to install it. What version of Linux are you using where it's gone? Oh, it's probably Ubuntu. So some utilities have deprecated it. However, in and of itself, it is not officially deprecated, and it's installed and running in most Linux distros. Let's prove that. Putty pi at drama.local. Whoops, there's an extra A in drama. So yeah, I have encountered the fact that ifconfig is gone in Ubuntu, but not every other distro has removed it. I know you can't see this yet. Stand by. Raspberry, SPBERRY. And share. Clickety, clackety, clunk. All right, so this is Raspberry Pi OS. I put in ifconfig. And bingo, ifconfig. I didn't install this manually. It's still there, still fully functional. So we just run it without any switches. I get the summary of my interfaces. There's my wireless LAN 0. There's my wired LAN 0. And there's my local internal one, 127.0.0.1. So absolutely works fine. It is augmented, and I'm not going to use the word replace because there's a difference with the IP command. If I want to see the same stuff, most of the same stuff that I saw in ifconfig by using IP, I can say IPA or IP minus A, the results are the same. Oops, nope, it's IPA now. There we go. So pretty similar stuff. There's some slightly different information in here, but there's a difference. IP is designed to be used in a scripted environment, where ifconfig is designed to be used manually on the command line. And that's why ifconfig is still in the A+ 10.0x objectives. It has been pulled out of the 11.0x objectives, and we're only using IP in 11.0x. So she's not deprecated, made obsolete. Juan Flores, I had to install NetTools to use ifconfig. Right, NetTools has all kinds of really good utilities in there that aren't being included in some distros. Marcellus Jones is, are you still answering the question, var? Okay, because var is not a command. I think you might still be playing the contest at 3:05. We were done. Colmac, I installed VMbox, VMware tools, and whatnot, but I had to look it up to install sudo apt install NetTools. There you go. Dang, Juan. You're on, man. You need to schedule your own exam. Cat utility. Okay, we're still answering questions. Thank you, meow. Andre, 320. Sorry, had to leave. Sorry, man. Oh, I hope your sad news is easily and quickly resolvable. We'll hopefully find out on Discord. Reading messages here. I know you saw me. Look, I have been typing CLS since 1982, 1981, somewhere in there. It's ingrained. It happens. And I still use it when I'm in the command line environment in Windows, so it's easy to go back and forth. Annoyed. Winning the test inspired me to take off the evening from delivering and restart my CompTIA cert efforts. Way to go, man. Yeah, give up making a living and doing what you do. Just study. I'm kidding. Ubuntu says Cole, right. I was starting with Ubuntu. Seems like the main one everybody uses. Yes. I keep several versions of Linux running here all the time. I keep obviously Ubuntu and Raspberry Pi OS. I also run Rocky Linux, which is a Red Hat distro, and then some that are just fun to poke around with. But if you are corporate, government, or military, let's go back. If you are government or military, your distro of choice is Red Hat. If you are corporate, Red Hat and Ubuntu and I'm brain farting on it. Somebody will plug this in for me. Susie's, and it's not Susie, but that's who CompTIA sees as their big competition. And so those three distros are kind of the spread reasonably equally across the pure corporate environment. And then if you're on Raspberry Pi, you're running mostly Raspberry Pi OS. But there is, of course, Kali is available for it. I've got Kali running over here somewhere. And an Ubuntu version of it for ARM is on here. Patty Powder, I have Ubuntu on my computer, but just got a new laptop. I found the garage sale, 25 Canadian. Would like to try another distro, Mint. Mint has been updated in the last week or two. It uses very little resources. It's powerful, it's fun, it's flexible, it's very Windows-like. I'm not a big Mint proponent. Mike gets on here all the time and says, Dave really loves Mint. I don't, but I think it's right for some installs, and especially an older, low resource computer. That is the answer. Ubuntu is beginner friendly, says Juan Flores. A lot of people will argue with you on that. But there you go. Another distro for beginner is Mint. Cali Powder, does it have pretty jellyfish? They changed the front end on it, the splash screens. I don't know. I got a pretty panther. Well, that's a cat command. Or puma. Okay. Oh, panther. What was the panther? It's a puma. Not precocious puma, but something like that. Jammy Jellyfish is the current version of Ubuntu. Boy, I don't remember what the P was. Pugnacious puma. They always do some kind of alliterative title on it. Cool Mackie, yeah, I caught it. More like this. Marcellus Jones, lost connection, came back, but resumed where I left off, hence the tardiness. That's okay. On Flores, how much more difficult is Red Hat to use? It's not. There's a learning curve. They use some slightly different commands. They use yum to do installations. They support some different features and functions than Ubuntu. Ubuntu is owned by a company called Canonical, and everybody thinks Ubuntu is Ubuntu. Ubuntu has a dozen major projects. Go check out canonical.com and look under comment, look at their other stuff. They have a lot of really cool things. They have a really cool product called Anbox. Anbox is a Linux distro that lets you run Android apps in it. And there are corporate environments that eat that up. It runs under Ubuntu. It's not really a dedicated distro. And they got a lot of really, really cool things. So it's not more difficult, but there's a learning curve. But, you know, if you already speak Ubuntu, you've got a lot of that learning curve done. You understand the core concepts of Linux. And one of the nice things, to my mind, about Red Hat and its clone distros, Rocky, Alma Linux, CentOS, that's gone. It's obsolete. Fedora, they all have native SE Linux. You can add SE Linux to Ubuntu, but it's not built in and ready to go and turn on. Juan makes a joke and says, try Arch Linux. Okay. No, is my answer to that. Arch is getting better. There, a Manjaro came out the other day that's ready to go install, but mostly you have to build Arch Linux for your system, add in the features and functions, pick the right core. How do I check if my computer is 32-bit or 64-bit? Look in the BIOS settings, run the setup program, find out what make and model processor you've got. If it's not specifically delineated there, and then look it up, but it may be directly delineated in there. If it's already got an operating system running on it, a Windows operating system, you can go to right click on system, the little computer icon, if it's an old OS, and click properties, and that'll tell you at least what version of Linux, of Windows you're running, a 32-bit or a 64-bit. Right. I put Ubuntu on my Mac laptop. Yeah, makes Mac a usable box. Sorry. Look at the model and Google it. Yeah. Do they have different distros if I have 32-bit? Yes, they do. There's a 32-bit Mint available. There's a 64-bit available. Same for most distros. Some distros stop supporting 32. Yeah. Ubuntu will auto detect 32 or 64 and install appropriately. MS Info 32. Again, if you're running a if there's currently a Windows operating system on there, you can get it from MS Info 32. That may not tell you what your CPU is. It'll tell you what bit width of OS you've got running. All right, I'm going to run a program here and I'll share it with you. MS Info 32. MS Info 32. This is a little bit different looking in Win 10, of course, than XP or Win 95 or 7 or whatever. But in general, this is what it looks like. So some starts out with a summary page. Am I sharing here? I don't see a green box around here. Oh, I'm not. There we go. Okay, now I got it. So this is what you see when you run MS Info 32. I'm running Windows 10 Pro. I can't tell if it's from that title, if it's a 32-bit or 64. Oh, here we go. System type x64 based PC. That is the CPU. And then you can go in a little more detail in the hardware hardware resources. Some of these take a few minutes to load up. And some of it, you got to do a little study to figure out what's going on here. Network ports, storage. CPU is not in this list. It's not an input device, not network, not ports, not storage. Yeah. Cool, powerful utility. That's a utility you need to know what it does for the A+ exam. Said something like 32-bit x64, 64x, right, there you go. So yeah, it should say 32-bit or x64. It doesn't say x32. I'm running Windows on it right now. Which version of Windows? Windows XP, Windows 95, Windows 7. But if you got a version of Windows on there, you'll be able to run MS Info 32. Let's see. All right, that caught us up on all the questions here. Got any other questions? Now's the time to post them. I'm going to go read our shutdown stuff. Not bad. We got 12 minutes to go today. So back to notes. Anything I want to talk about in here? Upcoming episodes. The answer is I don't know. I can't do Batocera. I want to do Batocera, but I just can't find a good way other than taking screen snapshots with my camera and then doing them as pictures to show you how the installation goes. It's a gaming operating system for retro gaming. It's retro gaming focused. It's available for Raspberry Pi. So if you want to do a Batocera installation, Batocera, just look up Batocera on Raspberry Pi and you'll find lots of good tutorials out there. Still waiting for my 64 megapixel Arducam to come in to do astrophotography. So I don't know what I'm going to do next week. I haven't even thought about it. I'll think about it over the weekend. Monday's show this week, I expect Mike to be back in full health. and do a regular show. We don't have any special features planned, just a normal Q&A show. What are you doing over there? There you go. Any last questions before we close this thing down 10 minutes early? Oh, of course there is. Let me post the links to the cool places again one more time. Show notes. Yeah, it's in show notes. All right, what are we going to post up there? First of all, the Discord link. Exciting opportunities, answers, XOR, cache. Sorry, thing is turned into a bit of a mess. Discount code. Okay, it's right above the discount codes. There we go. So in order, first we're going to post the my server up here with the archival documents on it, and then the Discord invitation, and then the AMA specials for the week. And then how to contact Dave via email or via LinkedIn. Mike Myers. I don't want Mike Myers stuff. I like him, but I don't need to post his stuff on my feed and my LinkedIn. And that's enough junk to put up there right now, right? All right. So let's close this puppy down. Good show. Enjoyed you guys. It wasn't the greatest topic as far as CompTIA goes, but it's useful to know something about this. It gives you kind of an insight into why and how they run embedded Linux systems on small IoT devices that don't have a lot of memory. It's a custom super shrunk version of Linux and then a stripped down version of BusyBox for the commands. All right, I'm going to wind this puppy up. Thank you all for coming as always. Thank you to Mike Myers, Dudley Leamer, our CEO, and everybody at Total who so generously provides us resources and time to get together. My most heartfelt thanks as ever and always goes to you and everyone who comes here to participate. I am Dave Rush. I'm the senior instructor at Total Seminars and resident Pi specialist, wishing you a great weekend. Take care of each other. Take serious steps to stay healthy. If at all possible, call or visit your parents. And never forget, technology is great, but the greatest resource we have are you and I. And with that, good night. I will see you at the AMAs next week. I'll try and pop into Discord in a little while just for a hi bye. And until then, I am out of here.